In Shanghai's commercial center, buses of domestic tourists rub shoulders with office workers and delivery people. The city has bounced back from the pandemic, something reflected in the latest economic figures. China grew by 18.3% in the first quarter of 2021, the biggest jump since records began in the early 1990s.
We expect the economy this year to maintain its current trend of steady strengthening and steady improvement.
But many say the figure is skewed. It comes from a low base of -7% this time last year, a period of lockdowns imposed during the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak that created a historic contraction. Still, the Chinese government says the recovery has been robust, led by a strong industrial sector and a jump in demand for exports as COVID spread around the world. Beijing poured money into infrastructure projects, but resisted heavy-handed stimulus measures to avoid worsening debt.
China's response to the COVID-19 economically was a percentile between 10 and 30% of what was done by the US, Europe, etc. So there wasn't this, quote, helicopter money.
But retail spending and domestic consumption continue to lag behind. And some analysts say China's economic recovery has been uneven, and many living in poorer areas are still struggling to get by.
Right now, the job security is bad. If we're looking at people working outside of big cities, consumption is still declining. So basically, the economic recovery we see right now are concentrated in big cities. If you're looking at smaller cities, rural areas, their economic recovery are quite slow.
China's GDP grew by 2.3% in 2020, the only major economy to do so during the pandemic. Analysts attribute China's relatively fast economic turnaround to its ability to control its coronavirus outbreaks. Early and intensive restrictions saw normal life in many cities resume around the middle of last year. But China's borders remain closed, and uncertainty over when they'll open up again is undermining consumer confidence. The Chinese government expects more modest levels of growth later this year and has set an overall target of more than 6% for 2021. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Shanghai.